Captain Ji-ho Kim stood at the front of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the large screen before him. The planet that filled the view was unlike any he had seen before. It was covered in blues, greens, and purples that seemed to glow with life. "It's beautiful," he said softly, like something from an old Earth story. His second-in-command, Sumin Park, nodded as she studied the readings on her screen. "The air is clean, there's fresh water, plants everywhere. It's like finding the Garden of Eden." "Eden," Ji-ho repeated. "A good name for now." The ship, UES, Pathfinder, had been traveling for 3 years to reach this place. It was the first planet humans had found that could support life without any changes. After centuries of searching the stars, humanity had finally found a second home. But Eden had surprised them in another way. It already had people living on it. "Captain, they're calling again," said the communications officer. "They want to know if we're ready to meet them." Ji-ho straightened his uniform. Humanity's first meeting with aliens would be remembered forever. He wanted to get it right. "Tell them we're ready. Sumin, Hanjun, Jae-sung, you're with me." The landing ship touched down in a wide, flat field surrounded by tall, silver trees. As the door opened, Ji-ho took a deep breath of the sweet air. It smelled like flowers and spice. Hanjun Lee, the team's cultural expert, stepped up beside him. "Remember, Captain, we know nothing about their customs. We should let them lead." "Agreed," Ji-ho said. "We are guests here." They walked down the ramp and into the sunlight. At the edge of the field stood a group of tall, slender beings. Their skin shimmered like pearls, and they wore simple white clothes that seemed to flow like water. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that looked almost human, except for their large, all-black eyes. One of the aliens stepped forward. "I am Aliyah," she said in perfect English. "Elder of the Naru, welcome to our world, humans." Ji-ho bowed slightly. "I am Captain Ji-ho Kim of the UES Pathfinder. Thank you for your welcome." He pointed to his team. "This is Sumin Park, our science officer, Hanjun Lee, our cultural liaison, and Jae-sung Kang, our chief engineer." Aliyah smiled. Her teeth were small and white, like a child's. "We have been watching your approach for many days. We are pleased to meet beings from another world who have achieved star travel." Hanjun stepped forward. "You speak our language perfectly. How is this possible?" "We have been listening to your transmissions for many years," Aliyah said. "Your radio waves reach far into space. We have learned much about you." Sumin frowned slightly. "Then you have an advantage. We know nothing about you." "There will be time to learn," Aliyah said, still smiling. "Come, we will show you our city. You will rest and eat. Then we can talk." The Naru city was like nothing the humans had ever seen. Buildings grew from the ground like trees, their walls clear as glass in some places and solid as stone in others. There were no roads, only wide paths of soft grass where the Naru walked barefoot. Everywhere, plants and buildings mixed together in perfect harmony. "Our city lives with us," Ilya explained as they walked. "It grows as we need it to, and it returns to the earth when we do not." "How many people live here?" asked Jae-sung, looking around at the peaceful scene. "In this city, about 50,000, Ilya said. "On our world, nearly 1 billion. We have kept our numbers steady for thousands of years." "Thousands of years?" Sumin asked. "How long has your civilization existed?" Ilya's smile never changed. "The Naru have lived in peace for over 10,000 years. Before that was a dark time we do not speak of." Ji-ho noticed how she avoided the question. The Naru might be older than just 10,000 years. Much older. They were led to a tall building near the center of the city. Inside, rooms had been prepared for them with beds, bathrooms, and food. "Please rest," Ilya said. "Tonight we will have a welcome feast. Many Naru wish to meet you." After Ilya left, Sumin turned to the others. "Did anyone else notice how perfect everything is? Too perfect?" "What do you mean?" asked Ji-ho. "No trash, no signs of repair, no differences in how people dress, no arguments, nobody running or hurrying." She shook her head. "No human city is this perfect." Hanjun nodded slowly. "I noticed," Something else. They all seemed to agree with Elia instantly. No debates, no questions. Perhaps they settled their differences long ago, Jiho suggested. A civilization that has lasted thousands of years must have found ways to avoid conflict, or removed it somehow, Jae-sung said quietly. At the feast that night, hundreds of Naru gathered in a large open space at the center of the city. They sat on cushions on the grass, eating food from bowls made of a light, strong material the humans didn't recognize. The food was simple but delicious: fruits, vegetables, and bread-like items. There was no meat. Jiho noticed that the Naru ate slowly, taking small bites and talking softly between them. None of them raised their voices or laughed loudly. It was the most peaceful dinner he had ever attended. A young Naru sat down next to Hanjun. "I am Tavi," he said. "I study old things." "I'm Hanjun. I study new cultures." Hanjun smiled. "Like yours." "Your people are very interesting," Tavi said. "You move quickly, you speak loudly. Your eyes change when you feel things." "Don't your people show emotions?" Tavi was quiet for a moment. "We feel contentment, peace, curiosity sometimes, but not like you." He leaned closer. "I saw your face when you first saw our city. You felt wonder, but also something else." "Doubt?" Hanjun nodded. "Humans always question new things. It keeps us safe." "What is it like?" Tavi asked. "To feel so many things at once?" Before Hanjun could answer, Elia stood up and raised her hands. The gathering grew silent. "Today marks a historic moment," she announced. "For the first time in our recorded history, beings from another world walk among us. We welcome our human friends and offer them peace." The Naru all touched their hands to their hearts, then extended them toward the humans. Jiho stood. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, we thank you for your welcome. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from each other." As he spoke, Sumin's handheld scanner beeped softly. She looked down at it with concern, then whispered to Jiho, "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from beneath us. Something big just activated." Jiho kept his smile in place as he finished his speech, but his eyes met Sumin's with worry. Later that night, after most of the Naru had left, Sumin showed the team her findings. "There's massive technology beneath this entire region," she said. "Far more advanced than what we've seen on the surface, and it's waking up. Could it be power systems, waste management, transportation?" Jae-sung suggested. "No," Sumin said. "The energy pattern matches weapon systems." "But the Naru seem completely peaceful," Hanjun said. "Why would they need weapons?" "Maybe they're not the ones who built them," Sumin replied. "I found references in their public database to ruins of an earlier civilization, the before time Elia mentioned." Jiho looked out the window at the peaceful city. "Tomorrow I want you to find these ruins, see what you can learn, but be careful. We don't want to upset our hosts." What none of them realized was that deep, beneath the city, ancient machines were already responding to the human presence. Sensors designed to detect aggression, ambition, and competition, all things the Naru had removed from themselves long ago, had found these qualities abundantly present in their human visitors, and the machines were sending a signal into deep space. 3 months had passed since the first meeting with the Naru. The humans had built a small base at the edge of the main city. Captain Jiho had returned to Earth 2 weeks ago to report their findings, leaving Su-min in charge of the research team. Su-min walked through the quiet streets of the Naru city early in the morning. After 3 months, she still felt uneasy about how perfect everything seemed. The Naru never argued, they never rushed, they never competed. At first, it had seemed wonderful. Now it felt strange. She stopped at a building where Jae-sung had set up his workshop. Inside, he was showing 3 Naru how to use a simple pulley system. "See? Now you can lift heavy things with less effort," Jae-sung said, demonstrating how the ropes and wheels worked together. The Naru watched with wide eyes. One of them, a female named Lani, touched the pulley gently. "This is so different. We have never thought to change how we lift things." Su-min waited until the Naru left before speaking. Still amazed by simple tools? Jae-sung nodded. It's the strangest thing. Their technology is advanced in some ways, their buildings, their clean energy, but basic tools like this amaze them. He wiped his hands on a cloth. It's like they just stopped inventing things a long time ago. Have you had any luck studying their computers? Suman asked. Some. Their systems are unlike anything I've seen, but I did find something odd. He lowered his voice. All their technology is exactly the same age. Nothing new has been created in over 3,000 years. Suman frowned. That can't be right. No society just stops developing. This one did. Jae-sung shrugged. When I ask why they don't improve things, they always say the same thing. We found perfection. Why change it? Han-jun had spent most of his time with Tavi, the young Naru who studied old things. They had become something like friends, though Han-jun still found it hard to read Tavi's emotions. Today, they sat by a small pool in one of the city gardens. Tavi seemed troubled, which was unusual for a Naru. What's wrong? Han-jun asked. Tavi looked around to make sure they were alone. I want to show you something important, but we must go when others are not watching. Han-jun felt a chill. This was the first time any Naru had suggested secrecy. Is it dangerous? Not dangerous. Forbidden. Tavi stood up. Come tonight when the others are at evening meal. Meet me at the old stone circle beyond the East Gardens. That night, Han-jun slipped away from the human base and made his way to the meeting spot. Tavi was waiting, a small light in his hand. Follow me, Tavi whispered. Stay close. They walked for 20 minutes into an area of the city Han-jun had never seen before. The buildings here were different, older looking, made of stone instead of the living materials of the rest of the city. Tavi stopped at what looked like an old well. He moved some stones at its base, revealing a hidden door. Down here, they climbed down a narrow ladder into darkness. At the bottom, Tavi's light showed a long tunnel. This way. After walking for several minutes, they entered a large round room. When Tavi held up his light, Han-jun gasped. The walls were covered in pictures and writing. What is this place? Han-jun asked. Our true history, Tavi said. The history the elders hide. Han-jun moved closer to the wall. The pictures showed Naru figures fighting, building weapons, arguing with each other. They looked angry, desperate, sad, emotions he had never seen on any Naru face. These are your ancestors? Tavi nodded. We were not always as we are now. Once we felt as you humans do. We fought, we competed, we changed, we destroyed. He pointed to one large image showing a terrible battle. We nearly ended ourselves. What happened? The elders of that time made a choice. They used our science to change us. Tavi touched his chest. They removed what they saw as dangerous: anger, jealousy, ambition, the desire for more than we need. He looked at Han-jun with his large black eyes. They took out what makes you human. Han-jun felt cold. Your people changed yourselves genetically? Your entire species? Yes. For thousands of years we have lived in peace. No war, no crime, no great change. Tavi touched the wall gently. Also no great art, no new discoveries, no deep love, no strong bonds, just peace. And you're showing me this because the machines are waking up, Tavi whispered. The machines left by those who came before. Meanwhile, Sumin had convinced 2 Naru guides to take her to the ruins she had read about in their database. After a day's journey, they reached a clearing in the forest where stone structures poked through the ground. This is not Naru built, one guide explained. It is from the time before we found peace. Sumin scanned the area with her equipment. These energy readings are off the charts. She walked carefully among the ruins. These aren't just buildings. There's technology active under the surface. As she moved deeper into the ruins, she found a stone with strange symbols carved into It. Her translator couldn't make sense of them, but they glowed faintly when she got close. Suddenly, the ground shook. It was gentle at first, then stronger. Her Naru guides looked afraid. The first real emotion she had seen on their faces. "We should not be here," one said. "This place wakes." Sumin's scanner beeped urgently. "Something big is powering up underground." She took pictures of the glowing symbols, then hurried back toward the guides. "Let's go." As they left the ruins, Sumin noticed more symbols beginning to glow throughout the area. Whatever was happening, it was spreading. Back at the human base, Jae-sung was monitoring unusual readings from their sensors around the planet. Small tremors were happening everywhere. Not just at the ruins Sumin was visiting. His communication device beeped. It was Hanjun, his voice excited and worried. "Jae-sung, I need you to see something. Tavi has shown me their true history. The Naru changed themselves genetically to remove aggression and ambition. And there's more. They weren't the first advanced species on this planet." "That matches what I'm seeing," Jae-sung replied. "Something technological is activating all around the planet. Something old, really old." Their conversation was interrupted when Elder Ilya entered the room, flanked by several other Naru. For the first time, Ilya wasn't smiling. "Where is Sumin Park?" she asked. "She has gone to the Forbidden Ruins. This is dangerous." "She's on her way back," Jae-sung said. "What's happening, Ilya? What are these ruins?" Ilya's face showed subtle signs of distress. "We have hidden the truth from you, from ourselves. It is time to speak of it." She sat down, her hands trembling slightly. "This planet was not always ours. The creators lived here first. They were powerful, warlike beings. When our ancestors first came to this world, we were their servants." "The creators?" Jae-sung asked. "What happened to them?" "Our ancestors rebelled. There was a terrible war. Eventually the creators left." Elia looked down. "But they vowed to return if warriors ever walked this world again. They left their machines behind, sleeping, waiting. And now they're waking up," Jae-sung said. "Because of us. Because humans still have the aggression and competition your people removed from yourselves." Elia nodded. "The machines sense warrior minds, human minds. They are signaling across the stars." Her black eyes met Jae-sung's. "The creators are coming back, and we cannot fight them. We cannot even feel the emotions needed to want to fight them." As if to emphasize her words, a stronger tremor shook the building. Outside, in the distance, they could see the ground splitting, open as something massive began to rise from beneath the planet's surface. The end times had begun. The ground shook as massive structures rose from beneath Eden's surface. All across the planet, the earth split open, revealing metal towers, weapon platforms, and huge machines that had been hidden for thousands of years. Sumin raced back to the human base, her Naru guide struggling to keep up. When she arrived, she found chaos. Naru were running in all directions, their usual calm completely gone. Some stood frozen in place, unable to process the danger. "Jae-sung," she called, finding him outside with a scanner. "What's happening?" "Those ruins you found, they're all over the planet," he said, "and they're all waking up at once." They watched as a metal tower, covered in the same strange symbol Sumin had seen at the ruins, rose fully from the ground nearby. Its top opened like a flower, revealing a device that pointed to the sky. "It's some kind of transmitter," Sumin said. "It's sending a signal to space." Hanjun ran up to them, Tavi close behind. "The Naru can't handle this," he said. "They've lost the ability to respond to threats. They don't know what to do." Tavi nodded. "Our ancestors removed all aggressive instincts. We cannot fight. We cannot even plan to fight." A group of Naru elders approached, led by Aliyah. Her face showed more emotion than Sumin had ever seen on a Naru. "You must leave our world," Aliyah said. "The machines will stop if warrior minds are gone." "We can't just abandon you," Sumin argued. "These machines are doing more than just waking up. They're preparing for something." As if on cue, one of the weapon platforms turned and fired a beam of energy at a nearby Naru building. The structure dissolved instantly, leaving nothing behind. Tavi gasped. The machines are clearing space, making room. For what? Hanjun asked. Before anyone could answer, their communication devices all beeped at once. The signal was from space. From the UES Pathfinder. This is Captain Jiho Kim, came the familiar voice. We've returned with supplies and additional personnel. What's happening down there? We're detecting massive energy signatures and geological activity planet-wide. Captain, this is Su Min. You need to be careful. Ancient defense systems are activating all over the planet. They're targeting population centers. Understood, we're sending down shuttles to protected landing zones. Hold tight. An hour later, Jiho stood with his team in the human base, now reinforced with soldiers and equipment from the ship. He looked grim as Su Min explained what they had learned. So these creators, he said, were the original owners of this planet? The Naru rebelled against them thousands of years ago, and the creators left but promised to return if warriors ever came back. And we humans, with our aggressive instincts intact, triggered their detection systems, Hanjun added. Jiho turned to Elia. Can your people evacuate to safer areas? The elder Naru shook her head. Many are already lost. Without the ability to feel urgency or fear, many simply stand and watch as the machines destroy. Her voice was flat, but her eyes showed sadness. We remove too much of ourselves, Captain Jiho. We cannot save ourselves. Jiho straightened his uniform. Then we'll help you. My people still know how to fight. Jae-sung worked through the night in his makeshift lab, studying fragments of the ancient machines they had managed to collect. So-min helped, analyzing the data from her scans of the ruins. I think I understand how they work, Jae-sung said finally. These machines don't just detect aggression. They respond to specific brainwave patterns. Patterns that the Naru engineered, out of themselves but that humans still have. Can we block them? Su-min asked. Maybe, but there's something else. He pointed to his screen where a complex signal pattern was displayed. This is what the transmitters are sending into space. It's not just an alert, it's a beacon. It's guiding someone here. Outside, they heard the sound of weapons fire. Human soldiers were defending a group of Naru from one of the automated defense systems. The humans had formed a protective ring around the city, fighting machines that had been built to kill warriors just like them. Hanjun and Tavi had gone to the central Naru temple, the oldest building in the city. Tavi believed it held more secrets about their past. The elders keep the oldest records here, Tavi said as they entered the quiet building. Records from before the change. They searched through strange crystal storage devices that held Naru history. Most told the same story that Elia had shared. The creators were cruel masters, the Naru rebelled and then changed themselves to ensure peace forever. But deep in the temple archives, Tavi found something different. A record left by a Naru leader who had opposed the genetic changes. Listen to this, he said, playing the recording. A Naru voice filled with emotion unlike any modern Naru spoke urgently. They are hiding the truth. The creators did not leave willingly. We defeated them. Our warriors found their weakness and drove them away. But the council fears they will return, so they plan to remove our warrior spirit through genetic modification. They say this will bring eternal peace. I say it will bring eternal weakness. Without the fire that drove us to freedom, we will be defenseless when the creators return. And return, they will. Their final message promised this. They left their machines buried in our world, waiting for the day when warriors walk Eden again, not to alert them, but to prepare for their return. Hanjun felt cold. The Naru didn't just change themselves to find peace. They did it out of fear. Tavi looked stunned. And the machines aren't just signaling the creators. They're preparing the planet for their return. Back at the base, Su Min's translator had finally decoded more of the ancient symbols from the ruins. She burst into the command room where Jiho was coordinating defense efforts. Captain, I know what the signal is saying, she said, out of breath. It's not just calling the creators back. It's telling them that warriors have returned to Eden, but not Naru warriors. A new species of warriors. Us. Jiho frowned. Why would that matter? Because of what the signal says next. She handed him her device. It says, "The new warriors protect us. They fight your machines. They defend those who cannot defend themselves." The defense systems are testing us, Ji-ho realized, seeing if we'll protect the Naru. Sumin nodded. And the next part is the worst. The transmission logs show that something has already answered from deep space. Something is coming. A soldier ran into the room. "Captain, our long-range sensors have detected multiple objects entering the system. They're moving fast, sir. Very fast." Ji-ho looked at the tactical display. Several large objects were indeed approaching Eden, moving at speeds that even the best human ships couldn't match. "How long until they arrive?" he asked. "At their current speed, less than 48 hours, sir." Ji-ho turned to his team. "We need to prepare. If these are the creators returning to reclaim their world, we need to be ready." He looked at Elia, who stood silently in the corner. "Your people can't fight, but mine can. We won't abandon you." Elia's eyes widened slightly. "You would risk yourselves for us, even though our presence triggered this crisis?" "That's what humans do," Ji-ho said simply. "We protect those who need protection. It's the other side of having aggression. We also have compassion." As if responding to his words, a nearby machine suddenly stopped its attack on a Naru building. Its weapons powered down, and it settled into a new position, one that appeared to be defensive rather than offensive. Jae-sung checked his scanner. "Captain, some of the machines are changing their behavior. They're responding to us, to what we're doing." "The creators designed them to respond to warrior minds," Sumin said. "Maybe they respond to how those minds are used, whether for attack or defense." Outside, the sky darkened as storm clouds gathered. The machines continued to rise from the ground, but their patterns were shifting. Some attacked, while others seemed to be building something: a network, a defense system, or perhaps a greeting party for their long-absent masters. The humans worked through the night, helping the confused Naru find safety and defending them from the hostile machines. All the while, the objects from space drew closer, bringing with them whatever fate the creators had planned for the world they had once ruled. Eden's judgment day was approaching, and humanity stood as the unexpected champions of a people who could no longer fight for themselves. Captain Ji-ho stood on the roof of the human base watching the sky. The stars were barely visible through the storm clouds that had gathered over the past day. Somewhere up there, the ships of the creators were approaching. Less than 12 hours remained until they would arrive. "Captain." Sumin joined him, carrying a tablet. "The Naru Council wants to speak with you." In the meeting room below, Elia and the other elders waited. Their faces showed more emotion than Ji-ho had seen before: fear, confusion, and something like shame. "We have discussed your offer to help us," Elia said. "Some believe we should ask you to leave. If no warrior minds remain on Eden, perhaps the creators will spare us." "And what do you believe?" Ji-ho asked. "I believe it is too late. The signal has been sent. The creators are coming." Elia looked at each human in the room. "We cannot fight. We cannot even feel the emotions needed to want to fight. But you can." Ji-ho nodded. "We will defend your people. This is what humans do. We stand against impossible odds. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." His words seemed to echo in the room. Several of the ancient machines outside made a strange humming sound, as if responding to his speech. Jae-sung rushed, in his face excited. "Captain, I've made a breakthrough with the ancient technology. The machines respond to brainwave patterns, not just aggression, but the complete emotional spectrum. The mix of aggression and compassion in humans is something they weren't programmed to expect." "Can we use that?" Ji-ho asked. "I think so. These machines were built to respond to either the creators or the Naru, but humans are different from both. We might be able to reprogram them." Hanjun entered with Tavi. "There's more," he said. "We found records showing that many of these machines were actually built by the early Naru, not the creators. They were defensive weapons used in the rebellion. So they should recognize the Naru as allies. Su-min said. They would, Tavi explained, if we were still the same Naru. But we changed ourselves so completely that the machines no longer recognize us as the same species. Jiho made his decision. Jae-sung, work on reprogramming as many machines as you can. Su-min, I need everything you've learned about the creators, weaknesses, tactics, anything that might help us. Han-jun, stay with the Naru Council. We need to coordinate evacuation plans. As the team dispersed, Jiho contacted the UES Pathfinder in orbit. Commander Lee, position the fleet in defensive formation. We don't know if the creators will talk or attack first, but we need to be ready for either. Understood, Captain, came the reply. The fleet is ready. Su-min worked with a group of Naru historians, going through their oldest records for information about the creators. What she found was troubling. According to these accounts, the creators were obsessed with genetic perfection, she told Jiho. They engineered themselves toward aggression and conquest, just as thoroughly as the Naru later engineered themselves toward peace. So we're facing an entire species bred for war? Jiho frowned. Yes. But there's something else. Su-min pointed to an image of a creator from the ancient records. They were tall, scaled beings with 4 arms. They modified themselves so extensively that they lost their ability to adapt. They became perfect warriors, but at a cost. What cost? They couldn't change, couldn't think in new ways. That's how the early Naru defeated them, with unexpected tactics and quick adaptation. She looked up at Jiho. Sound familiar? Jiho nodded slowly. Like humans. Jae-sung had set up his equipment near one of the larger machines that had emerged from the ground. With help from Tavi and several other curious Naru, he had managed to access its control systems. These machines are scanning brainwave patterns and comparing them to templates, he explained to his helpers. The creators' patterns are all aggression, dominance, and conquest. The old Naru patterns showed a balance, but modern Naru show almost none of these traits. And humans? Tavi asked. We're somewhere in between. We have strong aggressive patterns, but also strong compassion, curiosity, and cooperation. Jae-sung connected a final wire. That's why some machines are responding to us differently. We're confusing them. He activated his device. The machine hummed, lights flickering across its surface. Then it slowly changed position, moving from an attack stance to a neutral one. It worked. Jae-sung grinned. Now we need to do this with as many as we can reach. Han-jun had been working with Elia on another approach. In the temple archives, they had found information about the original Naru genetic structure. The aggression and fighting instinct wasn't eliminated from our DNA, Elia explained. It was suppressed, made dormant. Could it be reactivated? Han-jun asked. Temporarily, perhaps. But it would be painful for us. We have no experience with such emotions. Han-jun looked at the scared Naru around them. It might be your only chance to survive. If some Naru could feel the warrior spirit again, you could help defend yourselves. Ilya closed her eyes. I will ask for volunteers. As the hours counted down, the humans prepared their defenses. The UES Pathfinder and its 3 sister ships formed a protective ring around Eden. On the surface, human soldiers took positions around the main Naru cities, armed with the best weapons Earth could provide. Jae-sung's team had reprogrammed dozens of the ancient machines, turning them from threats into allies. They now stood alongside the human defenses, weapons aimed at the sky. In a secured lab, Su-min had helped Ilya administer the treatment to 30 Naru volunteers, including Tavi. The changes were immediate and shocking. The calm, peaceful aliens began to show emotions they had never experienced. Anger, fear, determination, and courage. How do you feel? Han-jun asked Tavi, who was shaking slightly. Everything is intense, Tavi said. His voice had more energy and his eyes were wider. I feel afraid, but also ready. Like I want to do something. That's normal, Han-jun assured him. Those are the instincts your ancestors had. Jiho gathered everyone for a final briefing. The creator ships will arrive in 1 hour. We don't know their intentions, but we must be prepared for battle. He looked at the mixed group of humans, Naru, and even the reprogrammed machines that Jae-sung had given basic intelligence. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all who call this world home. As he finished speaking, all communication devices activated at once. A message was coming through, not from their ships but from the approaching vessels. A harsh, cold voice filled the room. This world belongs to the Vex. We have returned to claim what is ours. Surrender the planet and all its inhabitants or be eradicated. Ji-ho stepped forward. This is Captain Ji-ho Kim of Earth. We stand with the people of Eden. We will not surrender them or their world. There was a pause, then. Unknown species detected. You are not Naru. What are you? We are humans, Ji-ho replied. We are explorers, builders, and when necessary, warriors. The Naru are under our protection. Another pause. Humans. We have not encountered your kind before. If you leave now, you may be spared. This is not your world or your fight. Ji-ho looked at Aaliyah, at Tavi with his newly awakened emotions, at his own crew who had come to care for this paradise world and its people. You're wrong, he said firmly. This is exactly our fight. Humans protect those who cannot protect themselves. We stand against bullies and tyrants. That's who we are. The communication cut off. Moments later, the storm clouds above parted as massive ships broke through the atmosphere. The Vex had arrived and the battle for Eden was about to begin. Su-min's scanner beeped urgently. Captain, I'm detecting energy buildups in the Vex ships. They're preparing to fire. All defenses, stand ready, Ji-ho ordered. He looked at the frightened but determined faces around him, human, Naru, and the newly awakened Naru warriors. This is what humans do best. We stand together against impossible odds. As the first energy beams lanced down from the sky, the reprogrammed ancient machines responded, raising shields over the city. Human ships engaged the Vex vessels in orbit, and on the ground, humans and Naru stood side by side. The battle for Eden had begun, and humanity would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Not just their skill in war, but their determination to protect those who needed them most. The sky above Eden burned. Vex ships, black and sharp-edged, fired energy beams at the planet below. The human fleet fought back, their smaller ships moving quickly around the massive Vex vessels. On the ground, ancient defense machines, now reprogrammed by Jae-sung, protected the main Naru cities with energy shields. Captain Ji-ho coordinated the defense from the command center. Focus fire on their main weapons, he ordered over the communication system. Don't try to destroy their ships yet, just keep them from hitting the surface. Su-min watched the battle on the screens, analyzing the Vex tactics. They're surprised, she said. They expected defenseless Naru, not human ships and reprogrammed defense systems. Good, Ji-ho replied. Surprise is our best advantage. A message came through from the UES Pathfinder in orbit. Captain, their ships are sending landing craft, at least 20, heading for different locations around the planet. Ji-ho turned to Han Jun. They're coming down to take the planet on foot. Get the awakened Naru ready. Outside the city, Tavi stood with 29 other Naru who had taken the treatment to restore their aggressive instincts. They all looked different now. Eyes wider, bodies tense, faces showing emotions that had been absent from their species for thousands of years. I don't know how to fight, one of them said, voice shaking with new fear. Neither do I, Tavi admitted. But the humans will show us. Han Jun arrived with a group of human soldiers. The Vex are landing to the north. They'll be here soon. He looked at the nervous Naru. You don't need to fight directly. Your job is to help evacuate your people and guide them to the safe zones. Will the humans hold back the Vex? Tavi asked. Han Jun nodded. We'll try, and we have help. He pointed to where several of the reprogrammed ancient machines were moving into defensive positions. Jae-sung has them responding to human commands now. In orbit, the battle grew more intense. The human ships fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The UES Pathfinder took a direct hit to its engines. "Damage report, Commander," Lee called. "Engines at 30%, shields failing," came the response. "We can't take another hit like that." Lee made a quick decision. "All hands prepare to evacuate, get to the escape pods, and head for the surface." He opened a channel to Captain Jiho. "Captain, the Pathfinder is critically damaged. We're abandoning ship, but I'm staying aboard to keep our main weapons firing as long as possible." Jiho's voice came through. "Understood, Commander. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten." On the surface, the first Vex landing craft touched down. The doors opened, revealing tall, four-armed beings with scales that shimmered like metal. They wore armor that seemed to be part of their bodies, and they carried advanced weapons. Human soldiers took defensive positions, ready to protect the fleeing Nauru civilians. As the Vex advanced, they fired their weapons but seemed surprised when the humans didn't retreat. "They expected us to run," Jae-sung said, watching from a makeshift command post where he controlled several defense machines. "The Nauru would have run. We don't." The human soldiers fought with skill and courage. Though the Vex were physically stronger and had better technology, the humans used the terrain and worked together in ways that confused their enemies. The Vex moved forward in straight lines, attacking directly with overwhelming force. The humans used cover, flanking maneuvers, and coordinated attacks. Sumin, analyzing the battle, realized something important. "The Vex don't adapt," she told Jiho. "They're using the same tactics over and over even when those tactics don't work. They've engineered themselves for strength and aggression, but they've lost flexibility." "That's our advantage," Jiho said. "Humans adapt. We find new ways. Tell our forces to keep changing their tactics. Don't let the Vex predict our moves." Jae-sung worked frantically at his controls, trying to activate the planetary shield he had discovered in the ancient systems. "If I can get this working, it could block their ships completely," he explained to Tavi, who had come to help. "What do you need?" Tavi asked, his new emotions making him eager to assist. "The shield needs power, more than we can generate. But I found references to power nodes buried all around the planet." Jae-sung pointed to a map. "If we can activate enough of them, the shield might work." Tavi looked at the locations. "I know, where many of these are, what your people call ruins. I studied them before we met. Together they formed a plan to send teams to activate the power nodes." In space, the battle turned against the human fleet. 3 ships were destroyed, and the Pathfinder, still under Commander Lee's control, was barely functioning. But it had positioned itself directly above the main Nauru city, its remaining weapons firing at any Vex ship that came close. On the ground, the situation was just as dire. Despite their bravery, the human forces were being pushed back by waves of Vex warriors. The reprogrammed defense machines helped, but there were too few of them to hold all the landing zones. Jiho knew they needed a new plan. "Sumin, you said the ancient machines respond to brainwave patterns. Could they respond to patterns from multiple species at once?" Sumin thought for a moment. "Maybe. The machines were built to recognize either Vex patterns or old Nauru patterns. But we've shown they can also respond to human patterns. What if we combined them? Human aggression with Nauru harmony." Jiho started walking toward the central defense tower that Jae-sung had reprogrammed. "If enough humans and awakened Nauru joined their minds somehow, could we control the entire defense network?" Sumin's eyes widened. "It's possible, but it would take incredible focus from everyone involved." As the Vex closed in on the main city, Jiho put his plan into action. He, Sumin, and 20 human volunteers joined with Tavi and the other awakened Nauru at the central tower. Jae-sung had connected neural interfaces to the ancient machine. "Everyone needs to focus on one thing," Jiho explained. "Think about protecting this world. Not fighting, not winning. Protecting." They all connected to the interfaces. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the machines around them began to hum with new energy. Across the planet, ancient defense systems that had been dormant or hostile suddenly activated, responding to the combined human-Nauru brainwave pattern. The planetary shield began to form, a shimmering dome of energy that spread from the central tower. In orbit, the Vex ships fired everything they had at the forming shield, trying to stop it. The UES Pathfinder, barely operational, moved to block a powerful Vex weapon aimed at the shield generator. The beam hit the human ship, tearing it apart. "Commander Lee," Jiho whispered, seeing the explosion from the ground. But the shield continued to grow until it covered the entire planet. The Vex ships outside couldn't penetrate it. The landing forces already on the surface were cut off from their fleet. The Vex commander, realizing the situation had changed, requested communication with the human leader. Jiho agreed to speak with him. The Vex was tall and imposing, his arms crossed in front of his armored chest. "You fight well for a species we have never encountered," he said, "and you protect those who cannot protect themselves." "That's what humans do," Jiho replied simply. "The Vex do not understand this concept. We conquer. We take. We have engineered ourselves for perfect conquest over thousands of years." The commander tilted his head. "Yet you defeat us with inferior technology and smaller numbers." "Because we haven't engineered away our ability to change, to adapt." Jiho stood tall despite his exhaustion. "Your people chose perfect aggression. The Naru chose perfect peace. Both paths led to stagnation. Humans try to find balance." The Vex commander was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "We will withdraw our forces from this world, not because we fear defeat, but because we wish to study your species further." After the communication ended, Sumin looked at Jiho with surprise. "They're leaving? Just like that?" "For now," Jiho said. "They've encountered something they don't understand. A species that can be both warriors and protectors. It confuses them." In the days that followed, the humans and Naru began to rebuild. The awakened Naru struggled with their new emotions, but found that they didn't want to give them up. "We were missing so much," Tavi told Hanjun as they watched the sunset from a hill outside the city. "Not just anger and fear, but deep joy, real love, true hope. We thought we had found perfection, but we had only found stagnation." The majority of Naru who had not taken the treatment were now faced with a choice: remain as they were, or slowly reintroduce the full range of emotions back into their society. Elia, speaking for the Naru Council, approached Jiho as he prepared to return to his ship. "You have changed our world forever, Captain. Some say for worse, some for better. Change is never easy," Jiho replied. "But without it, there's no growth, no evolution." "We have received a message from the Vex fleet as they left our system," Elia continued. "They wish to establish communication with Earth, not for war, but for learning. They said humans have something they need." Jiho smiled. "Balance. The ability to be strong without losing compassion. To fight when necessary without making fighting your only purpose." As he looked out over Eden, Jiho saw humans and Naru working together to rebuild. The ancient machines, now fully reprogrammed, helped with construction instead of destruction. And in orbit, new human ships arrived, bringing scientists and diplomats eager